Hello everyone. I wanted to record a video to share my experience of the 10-day Vipassana course with my friends and family and people who were also on the course who I didn't get a chance to speak to, but also anybody who has already done it, if they wanted to know if they had like similar experiences with other people who have gone through the 10-day course. And also for people who haven't done it before, who are thinking about it, want to know what it's actually like going there, what you get out of it, any tips and advice, yeah, all of the above. So I really wanted this to be a short, snappy video, but once I got writing about it, I found that I had like so much to say, so I will try and keep it as concise as possible, but I'll try and put sort of chapters in the bottom in case you just want to skip over some stuff. So to start off with, why I wanted to do the 10-day course was because I wanted to find a way to cope with negative thoughts and situations in a more positive and healthier way. And I also wanted to find something that would help me with my concentration, because I can be pretty scatterbrained, especially being self-employed and trying to manage my own time. I can just completely lose focus very easily. I'm happy to say that it's already massively helped me in those respects. I've noticed that I'm able to approach situations way more calmly and with like a level head, where in the past I'd be quick to react based on my emotions or like whatever I'm thinking or feeling at the time, which is not always the best way to approach situations. And I'm much better at snapping out of negative thought patterns. So for example, since the course, I had about food poisoning, unfortunately, on holiday. And instead of feeling like sorry for myself for the whole time, I was able to actually take the situation as it is, as Goenka would say, and just recognize that this is just my body doing its job. It's like flushing out all of the bad things that it doesn't want to be there. So having gratitude for that in a very like uncomfortable position and just focusing on like resting and healing was a really big thing for me, whereas like before I would probably just be focusing on all the discomfort and thinking, oh, when is this gonna end? So yeah, that's a already really big benefit that I felt. It's instilled why it's important to respond rather than react to situations like that, and how, you know, everybody intellectually knows that it's better to do so, but until this course I'd never really sort of like lived it. And it's really ingrained in me now. Editing me, just caveating here that I am no Zen master. I am much better in situations than I used to be, but yeah, I still blow up sometimes. I get in moods. I wake up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm not a fully changed person, but I am much better than before. Whereas before, I believed it to be true, but it doesn't mean that I was actually practicing that. Before I talk further on how it felt for me in the 10 days and what was kind of going through my mind, I want to caveat that this is totally personal. It might not happen or unfold in the same way for you if you haven't gone through the course. If you have gone through the course, you probably had a completely different experience with some shared similarities. It's going to be, yeah, completely unique depending on who you are, where you've come from, what you're focused on at the moment, what's happened to you in the past. So yeah, if you're planning to do the course in the future, please don't have any expectations, basically, based on what I or any other previous student has experienced on the course. I feel like I go on a bit in this section, but I really want to hammer it home. I think it's really important to know this because I'm really, really glad that I went into the experience without very much prior knowledge. And I think that is really helpful. I know some people are going to be really curious and, maybe even want to check it out, that it's safe. But just bear this in mind. I think this is particularly important so that you're not comparing yourself or what you're thinking and feeling whilst you're there to anything else that's happened to anybody else from any sort of like anecdotal information that you've heard before. It's completely subjective. No two people are going to have the same experience, so you shouldn't feel bad about not having an experience or sensation, and kind of at the same time you shouldn't feel like positive about weirdly you shouldn't feel positive about it either, but that will kind of all make sense if you get to it. So, and this is why the silence is so integral, for you to go inside yourself, to observe what you're thinking and feeling without having discourse with the other students. So and so saying like, oh, I felt feelings of euphoria, or I had previous memories come up that I hadn't thought about for a long time, and then that's to avoid you sitting there in the meditation hall thinking, why am I not having this experience? Why am I not thinking about this? Why am I not having these breakthroughs? And completely like removing or pushing yourself away from the task at hand, which is the meditation, and just to be there, just to be. I think the type of experience that you have will also depend on how introspective you are already. I naturally think about my behaviour and the things that I say and the things that I've done in the past all the time. I mean, sometimes it's helpful to unpack and, learn from mistakes. Some of the time it's not very helpful. It's just cycling negative memories and being in there in that moment and feeling all those horrible feelings for no benefit, like no lessons, no insight, no productivities, just feeling it. I don't know why, because it's addictive, because humans are good at torturing themselves. But yeah, I found since doing the course, I've been able to cut those cycles short, and have decreased the instances where it happens in the first place, which is amazing. Just being able to recognize when I'm going into those bad cycles and then saying, oh wait, like, no, that's not helpful, let's move on, let's let that be, that's in the past, what's happening right now, has been like life-changing. A big reason of why I have been able to cut those times short is because during my meditations at the course, past memories came up. A lot of those negative memories did come up, and against the teacher's instructions, I started diving deeper into those past experiences and unpacking and examining and just rehashing out whatever happened at those times in my life. In the moment, it was really addictive because I felt like I was looking through a completely objective lens, which I never experienced before. Like, usually when I'm looking at these situations, I'm kind of, thinking about it from my point of, from who I am and my emotional lens as I am now. Whereas in those meditations, I was kind of like, I felt like I was looking at it as a third party, sort of seeing what everyone was going through at the time, including myself, but like from a removed place, which was really like refreshing. So I went down those rabbit holes, and because of this objectivity, it gave me like huge revelations about these situations where I was putting so much emphasis or emotion or importance on like one thing or the other, where it was something completely different that I was not aware of or just not tuned into was happening. And it's given me a lot of clarity about all the things that have happened, a lot of clarity about things that happened in my childhood, things to do with relationships. And I've never done any sort of therapy before, but I honestly feel like in those sittings, I feel like I had like 10 years worth of therapy in half an hour. It gave me so much relief after I had these really emotional, like turbulent things come up. And after having these sort of revelations, I had a huge like bubbling of emotional like outpour. I was trying to really sometimes I was trying really hard not to be sobbing, not to disturb my fellow students, but like the lump in my throat was so hard, and there'd be tears streaming, and it was like to come out of that the other side was just, it was really intense. But I don't think that I would have ever been able to get to those places of clarity without the opportunity to just cut everything else off, like cut off all the distractions, and all the daily, like day-to-day stuff that you have to think about. And then with more social interactions on top of that, like everything that sort of really ought to be processed is just so pushed down on the pile of the to-do list. So yeah, that was really had some really profound experiences in that meditation hall, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have been there. Not all of it was super intense and emotional. A lot of the stuff that was coming up in my meditations were like really silly, really funny and happy and joyful. A lot of memories with friends, old and new, which were great reminders of how lucky I am to have those people in my life and how grateful I am to be alive, just to know them. I'm getting emotional thinking about it now. For anyone who has done the course, I'd love to know, please comment down below if you had any sort of like similar experiences or anything different. Like, I'm so curious. Was it really dull? Were you just in the zone? Did you go to another planet? Like so by now, I'm sure you can tell that if you haven't already been, this is no holiday. This is not a retreat. This is not meant to be therapy, even though that's the kind of experience I ended up having. You are there to learn a technique that can help you in the rest of your life. But because this situation and environment is so unique, it can actually facilitate these special experiences to come to the surface. This might be the only opportunity you get to just be for 10 days as well. Like, there's nothing else that you can do. You're not allowed to speak to anyone or communicate with the outside world, which means that you're not thinking about how you're coming across to other people, or thinking, like, oh, what does this person think about me? Or maybe I said that wrong, or I hope they didn't take it like this, or oh, I hope they like me, or all that kind of stuff that comes along, may come along with day-to-day communication. No planning for the day. You don't, yeah, everything, you have a schedule laid out for you, you know what you're doing, everything's sort of like done for you. So yeah, again, all you can do is just be and follow the schedule. You don't even have to cook for yourself. Like, all the meals are provided. There's no like staring into the fridge thinking, what am I gonna have for dinner? And yeah, no reading or writing either. So you don't have an opportunity to intellectualize what you're going through, your experience at the time. Sometimes I know when I'm journaling, I might think like, oh, maybe I want it to sound like this, or maybe I want to put this spin on it, or kind of make it sound like some sort of narrative. But no, you're just having to live in the experience, the exact experience that you're having right then and there. And that's all you can do. This might be quite intimidating for some people, because it is 10 days of basically just being with yourself. Like, when else do we get to do that? So I think that's a really important reason to do it, just because it's such a special, unique experience. Because spending that much time with yourself, at least for me, allowed me to sort of like get to the root of myself, because there was no other distractions. It's hard work. Sitting for so many long hours, trying to keep still was the worst thing for me. Just trying to find like a comfortable position, and then after a while that position would become very uncomfortable, and then I have to move again, and I was so self-conscious about like annoying my neighbours. So that was the hardest part. The silence was actually the easiest thing for me, but that might be because I grew up an only child, so I'm very accustomed to spending a lot of time on my own, potting around and being in my head. So that didn't bother me so much. I think universally, after speaking to the students on our after the silence broke, universally I found that concentration was the hardest part. Like, people's minds were going in so many different directions, so that was probably the toughest thing about the whole experience. Saying that though, going through the whole experience has helped me focus my mind so much more. Like, I can like concentrate on the task at hand way better than I ever was able to. What it is not is not thinking at all. I think a common misconception about meditation is that it is you sitting still and clearing your mind until it's empty, and it's not. It's often focusing on a visualization or a sound or a word, repeating a mantra over and over again. In this instance, it is focusing on the sensations in your body, feeling all the tingles or the itches or the heat, or a breeze, whatever it is, and noticing it's there, and then moving on, and then doing that for another part of your body, and the process goes over and over again. So when you tell yourself like, oh, I couldn't do that, meditation's not for me, I can't empty my head for a second, you are not alone. That is impossible. I don't think anybody can completely empty their minds out for nothingness, and I think if you did, you probably like had a lobotomy or aren't quite there. So that's fine. So if you are one of these people who would like to be able to clear your mind, but cannot empty it out completely, the effect of meditation, like doing meditation clears your mind in your day-to-day life, but whilst you're meditating, it's a given that you're always going to be thinking about something. So that's totally fine. For example, the first few days of the course, my head was filled with so much rubbish, so much random stuff. I can't even like, I'll try to describe it to you. It was like if you had a bunch of stock images and videos, like short clips, and things that I've never even like seen before, like genuinely stock images, photos, people I've never seen before, like animals, places, like anything in the world, just on a loop, like one clip after the other, after the other, after the other, like really, really fast, which when I was trying to clear my mind. And it was so overwhelming. It was just like totally nonsensical. It would be that for like hours. It just goes to show how good the mind is at distracting you when it feels the slightest bit of discomfort. It's like, oh no, I don't want to do this. What should we do instead? How can we fuck this up? I do anything but this. I will do anything but this. You will do anything but this. That was kind of, that seemed like what my mind was thinking at the time. One thing I did find interesting about that though was that I found it harder, like I recognized after a while that I found it harder to pull myself out of daydreams where I was having like a pleasant, positive thoughts. I don't know if that's, I don't know if it's helpful. I don't know if that's a helpful insight, but it was just, I found it interesting. I was like, I can go so far down into something that's not happened that I would like to happen in the future. But, and find it so hard to catch myself and then come back to the present moment than if I'm thinking about this horrible thing or this argument, or me thinking about how my knees hurt so much because I've been sat in this position for 10 minutes. So it's been a month since the course and I've not been able to keep up with the meditations, not every day, unfortunately. Not because I don't want to, but I'm trying to find a good way to integrate them into my life that's sort of sustainable, that I can keep up with consistently, which is really quite difficult for someone who barely has a normal routine anyway. So I'm very committed to creating a consistent meditation practice in my life, but it just hasn't happened yet. I've also been on holiday since the course and I didn't really want to meditate on holiday, not gonna lie. Although I did it on the plane, and yeah, I had a really early start and then I meditated on the plane for about an hour, and after I got off the plane, which was, I think I was traveling for about 8 hours in total, after I got off the plane I felt amazing. I felt like, yeah, let's go out, let's see the sights, like where should we go for lunch, like really energized from it, which I was really surprised at because I probably would have been ready for a nap, but you know what, I got to the Airbnb, I had a shower, I unpacked my stuff, I was ready to go, I was so happy. A strange thing that I found, please let me know if this applies to you also, but I found it way more easier to meditate on the bus than I do at home. I meditate on the way to and from the gym, so I don't know if it's because there's other sounds and things going on, maybe it's because I'm like sat upright in a seated position, like in a chair, rather than with my legs crossed. Who knows what it is. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, or if I'm even doing it right on the bus, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. It's working right now, so we can stick to it and see where it goes. The reason why I really do want to stay consistent and find a way to slot it into my routine. The reason being is that when I first got back from the meditation course, the whole week or two after that, even when I wasn't meditating consistently, I felt so much more at peace and calm, and just generally really positive about life and every interaction that I had. Gradually after that, it kind of started fading away, and I recognised that I was slipping back into my old habits. So I know now for sure that it's really impacted my life and my relationships in a positive way, and I really want to bring that back now that I know that it's possible. One change that I wasn't expecting was, since the course, I've drastically reduced my meat consumption at home. Of course, the course is catered like totally vegetarian, and it really opened my eyes to how I could make hearty, nutritional and tasty vegetarian meals just at home on the day-to-day. I know that isn't groundbreaking, but for me, I generally did eat quite a lot of meat, but now nearly all of my lunches are either vegetarian or pescatarian, which doesn't probably sound like a crazy change to most people, but for me it's it's been quite a good and big welcome change. I've also decided to stop buying meat from supermarkets. I work sometimes at farmers market on the weekend. We buy our groceries there, and it's made me realise how much I value that human connection with the person who's actually looking after the animals, and I know that they are being treated humanely as you can if you're going to kill them, but you know what I mean. They're fed well, they're given space to roam, all that goodness, and on the weekends that I won't be working there, I'm just going to eat completely vegetarian meals, or completely pescatarian meals. Well, maybe I'll have my fill by like the autumn of my life, so maybe from age 50 onwards I'll go deeper into vegetarianism, and I'll just be like, you know what, I've had my fair share. I don't need any more. I'm not growing anymore, you know. I'm slowing down, hopefully by then. Don't need as much energy, don't need as much repairing. We'll see. We can dream. We can plan and we can dream. I'm planting those seeds. This video is getting super long, so I thought this was a good place to cut off. In part 2, I'll be talking more about the facilities and the course itself and the structure, so probably something more for people who are thinking about going on the course for the first time. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for listening for this long, if you have made it this far. And catch you in the next one. Bye.